recent survey that we have published just a few days ago, EUROCHAMBRES is looking at the forecast for next year expressed by more than 50,000 entrepreneurs all around Europe. Now, the result of that survey is very clear. Expectations from entrepreneurs are positive and continue to increase in terms of output and delivery from the business community, but at a certain cost. And the cost is mainly related to one element, which is finding the right people that is able to deliver what the business community or a single enterprise wants to deliver. And this is about skills, this is about capacities, this is about knowledge, this is about understanding what is needed in a single business or at large in the business community to know to be able to deliver in this new cycle of economy, which is very much identified by a global view, a global perspective, and based on technologies that are new, and new technologies are coming on board every time and every day. So the business community has been very clear on this. Good perspectives, based mainly on capacity of European businesses to access foreign markets, so not much retention of the domestic market growth, but growth in export and foreign markets, with a big challenge of finding the right skills on the market. This might be the real challenge that we'll be facing next year and the years to come. Europe is the region in the world where we have actually invented the enhanced regional cooperation. If you think about the internal market, this is it. The internal market is a very coherent regional cooperation, abolishing all the barriers that could represent an obstacle to the free flow of people, capitals, and the other freedom. The element of cooperation is important because there is no single business today that could claim that its product or its service or its delivery is only containing local components. So the value chains are distributed horizontally and geographically in many countries, and therefore the regional cooperation, which allows businesses to easily move component of the value chains across the borders, is absolutely key. I would like to see the European policy making, the European institutions to fully embrace the think small first principle. If we would be able to understand that the majority of the European citizens work for SMEs, the majority of the European output is made by SMEs, a large fraction of the European export around the world is fully supported either directly or indirectly by SMEs. So SMEs are what we used to say the backbone of the European economy. But once we leave the public speaking area, we go into the policy making, what happens is that we not always respect the criteria of the majority. Because if we are used to work with legalistic approaches, we see that the majority should always win. Well, the SMEs are the majority of the business community, are the majority of those that deliver, are the majority of employers, but they do not always have the majority in saying whenever we establish EU laws or EU directives or EU elements of the policy making. So think small first is the element that by itself will help very much this SME component of our business community to raise their voice and to raise their concern. Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs is a brand for us of enormous importance. First of all, it builds on the success of Erasmus, which is a European success story, certainly. But second, also enhance the opportunity for the want-to-be entrepreneurs to have an experience with already well-educated or mature or successful entrepreneurs in other European countries. This is an element that goes hand by hand with the idea that we were elaborating on before, which is the cross-border regional cooperation within the European Union. But now Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs is going global because the idea is so attractive that we are thinking to use, and we are proposing to European institutions to use Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs brand and mechanics to create enhanced links with other regions of the world. Just imagine, we have a list of strategic partners of the European Union. There are roughly 20 countries around the globe. Why don't we qualify those countries as eligible for a specific Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs among EU and that given country? That will increase the understanding, the capacity to make business, the knowledge about the other country among the entrepreneurial element, and that would certainly contribute also to a fair and free trade alignment of the business community with the political decision. EUROCHAMBRES we try to pay a lot of attention to the new dynamics coming into the region of the entrepreneurial community in Europe, but actually in the world. There are several activities that we are pursuing together with our members and together with European institutions to facilitate the capacities of the entrepreneurs to work with the new technologies that are coming up into the market. We are using typically funds, European funds from the research environment, and we have been able also to shape a specific portion of those funds called the SME initiative, where funds are available for entrepreneurs that are able to describe a business process using new technologies that would have a certain impact on the market. We decide at European level what are the technologies that could be supported and used in the coming years. While this SME initiative is a pot of money, we're talking about 200 million euro, available for small business bottom-up suggestions that would identify a single technology that would make a case in a business case with a certain impact on a market that could be financed through European money. This is an incredible initiative where we have been able to shape only an envelope of 200 million, but we really believe that should be expanded in the next financial framework in a much greater basket of money. What is our responsibility and our possibility to influence the process? First of all, we do need, due to the demographic process we have in Europe, to import a certain number of people every single year to satisfy the need of workers, employees, or other element of the society that we need to have at work, but we don't find domestically. Second, we are worried by the fact that this flow of refugees and migrants can cause unrest in society. Third, we have the larger policy of contribution to the development of third countries through the economic cooperation envelope that we disburse every year as Europe, which is the largest in the world. If we combine these three, we can set two policies. The first policy is to modify our cooperation policy with third countries, aiming at increasing directly the economic conditions and therefore the standard of living of people in their own country. We tackle the origin issue. That means that we need to involve the business community in doing this, because that would not be through an intergovernmental relationship. Second, we need to take care about those that will flow to Europe in any case, through a real integration policy of these people within the European labour market. Unless we do this, people will come to Europe and will not find an integrating process, and that will create unrest to society. And that will increase the call for the populist side in saying we need to stop migrants. But we know that that will never happen, will never be feasible. Therefore, we must change our policy making and our availability of instrument at European level to tackle the origin level through the cooperation and the integration level through a real policy of integration in the European labour market. This is what EUROCHAMBRES is calling for, and this is what we are starting to deliver through a series of activities in a multi-stakeholder approach, co-financed also through European funds. That is a smart way to use our money. 2018 will be a critical year for Europe. And I'm speaking because it is a year where the campaign for the European election will start, election taking place in mid-2019. Why it is critical? Because there are many criticisms today, and many citizens, sometimes government of Europe, do not necessarily share the vision that Europe must continue to increase their capacity in power and integration of the member states. Some member states have also decided to leave. So the element of discontinuity of Europe is an important element that we need to tackle. Why we need to tackle? Because it is undoubtedly true that Europe has delivered benefit to the European citizens that could not be achievable without the European Union. The problem is that today communication throughout the beneficiary of these policies is not very fluid. It's not very consistent in content and opportunities to communicate. So I see very much an important element of changing the narrative of Europe, trying to find those elements that will be able to convince our co-citizens in Europe that having the European Union functioning at its best rate, it is the best option we might have for our future. And that would lead to the European election. If we would fill in the European Parliament with people that is rather skeptical on the future of Europe, we will not be able to fulfill any increased objective in the years to come. Therefore, the preparatory phase for the election of what we want as Europe in the future is a major challenge that we have for next year. So the stock of foreign investment of which is placed in Europe is ranking number one. For the future, Europe has the capacity to develop, thanks to the incredible variety of the business community resident domestically in Europe, a great path for the new generation of industry, of services that will be generated in the world. Why I'm saying this? Because Europe has one capacity which is unmatched in the world, which is the R&D capacity developed by our scientists based in Europe. The European institutions are working on the innovation side of our business community, is giving hope that capacity, great capacity in research that we have in Europe, will be transformed also in a market capacity of those bright ideas, inventions that we are creating in our research center, transformed in market products and services. That needs investment, that needs money, but Europe will continue to be a place to be for the next future.